All right, hello everyone and welcome to Bitesize, the show presented to you by Pete and Kristen. Each week we take 10 minutes out of your week to present a different Vertiv solution. My name's Pete.
And my name's Kristen. Thank you so much for joining us, taking time to listen to us talk about some of our products and how they apply to what you're selling to your customers. Don't forget that we will be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card to one lucky viewer.
Awesome stuff. So what have we got today, Kristen?
Today we are going to be talking about the MCR. That is abbreviation for mini computer room. So what this is it's a standard size cabinet with an air conditioner built down into the bottom of it. It is all hermetically sealed, and I like to say that this really works like a refrigerator. The beauty of it is that for customers who are deploying into remote locations or closets that don't have good air conditioning, they can then take control of the environmentals themselves without having to do a big mechanical installation. They just roll this in, plug it into a regular outlet in the wall, and it just starts cooling inside the cabinet without needing to do any kind of plumbing or anything that it basically becomes expensive. So it's a great solution when you guys are doing distributed environments, networking upgrades, refreshes. We see this a lot. The kinds of customers we see this a lot with are school systems, because they always have those, bad MDF and IDF closets. We see it a lot in banking for remote banks, financial, because you can lock it. You can remotely see who's opening the cabinet. You can see the temperature. So banks like it for the security aspect and for the cooling. We see it in warehouses because you can just roll this into a warehouse and let it go, as well as retail. So people with retail locations all over the country, they can deploy these out. Liebert will go out and install them, plug them in for them if needed, and then they're good to go.
Fantastic stuff. So thanks for that, Kristen. So just in terms of the actual cooling capacity, so I'll just roll the camera down a little bit. So here we can see the actual cooling unit. This provides 2 kilowatt of cooling, just under 1 ton of cooling to your IT load. It's hermetically sealed, as Kristen mentioned, so this will provide a complete enclosed cooling environment for the maximum PUE.
All right. So I'll talk a little bit about the air distribution and how that works inside the cabinet. So it's going to work kind of like how you hear hot aisle, cold aisle in a data center, but this is just its own little tiny data center. So it's going to blow the cooling into the cabinet, and then in the back of it, it will reject that heat out into the space. And the neat thing is, if this is in a warehouse or in a big open environment, the heat can go and it'll dissipate into the air. But if they're in a little tiny closet, you don't want to store all that heat up in that closet, so it has a special duct kit that can go into the ceiling, and then all the heat goes into the ceiling, and your little closet doesn't even see any heat from this cabinet.
Awesome stuff. And so, Kristen, what are some of the things that we might put into the cabinet here?
So in this cabinet, we have one of our GXT, our little single-phase rack-mounted UPSs. So, we would mount a UPS with the amount of backup time they want for their equipment inside of here. We also mount our power strips in the back, so their distribution. They can hang off temperature sensors off those power strips or contacts, so they know who's opening and closing the door. They can also remotely manage doing powering on and off their IT equipment if they do a smart PDU. And then Avocent, our Avocent solution, they can pop in an ACS for serial connectivity or for KVM connectivity, and that way they can go into all of their equipment remotely, do firmware upgrades, power cycle, really anything that they would want to do with that IT equipment from right in front of it from a remote location.
Fantastic stuff. So I'm just going to quickly talk about the backup fan door. I'm going to try and demonstrate how easy this is to move. This cabinet is actually on casters, so this is where I do my Wheel of Fortune impression. Over to you, Kristen.
Turn the cabinet, Pete. So the casters are great for installation because you can just roll it into its space, but then so that it doesn't move around and wiggle around, then you lock the casters. Oh, look, and we changed sides.
Look at that, as if by magic. Almost like we rehearsed this.
Okay, so the backup fan is there's a temperature sensor inside, and so if the temperature starts getting hot in this cabinet, the temperature sensor is going to trigger these backup fans to turn on and open this damper, and that way the heat will all be being pulled out of the cabinet so that it's not piling all up like an oven in here. So that's the redundant side of this unit. So you plug this into your UPS, and if the power fails, it's going to pull the heat out, or something happens with the air conditioner, it's going to pull the heat out so your equipment isn't getting all hot inside of here.
And so, Kristen, presumably this is for your cable management. This what do you call these?
Foam stuff.
Oh, this is the foam stuff. Good stuff.
It's the magic foam stuff. You don't have magic brushes, you have magic foam.
Fantastic stuff. Awesome. Okay, and I'm just going to close this up one more time, and just going to talk quickly about the external cooling unit. So this unit in its current form provides 2 kilowatts of cooling capacity. If need be, we can put an ancillary cooling unit onto the ceiling, which will double up the cooling capacity to provide 4 kilowatts, so just under 2 tons. And I'm going to hand you over to Kristen, who's going to talk about an application we actually put this device into while I spin the cabinet one more time.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go to the other side. I feel more comfortable over here. So one of the, we want to tell you about how we apply this and how one of our resellers recently sold it. So our reseller was working with a manufacturing company that had distribution locations all across the country, or actually all across Texas. And so they were having trouble with the equipment that needed to go into this distribution site to handle all of their needs from an IT perspective. So we went, and there were 26 locations, and they did 26 of these units. Some of them needed less equipment than others. So in the ones that had a higher load or a higher IT count, we put in 2 of these units. You take the side off, you bolt them together, and then you've got one big space. So you've got extra rack space as well as extra cooling. So you can make a bigger little data center out of this pretty simply. To give you an idea about the cost of one of these with a UPS is about $7,000. Just, I think it helps to kind of roughly know what you're looking at, which is such a huge difference in having to go in and do a whole air conditioning system. So this is a very simple solution when you guys are selling like a network refresh or you're putting new servers out somewhere. This is a great way for your customer to care for their IT load without a lot of work on their part.
So, Kristen, let's say I'm an IT reseller and I want to do a co-branded marketing campaign. Who should I speak to about that?
Well, I think you should speak to Emily. We're going to introduce you to Emily. Emily is our marketing person here locally, and she's fantastic, and she is happy to help you guys if you'd like to do an email campaign around the MCR or any of the products that we talk about. Emily is the person, and she will work with you, co-brand it with your company, and get some things out and get some leads generated that Pete and I can help you guys close.
Awesome stuff. So I think that kind of wraps it up for the MCR today. Thank you again for taking time out to watch this video. Don't forget to tune in next week for another chance to win another $50 Amazon gift card, and see you next time.